Hi everyone, Gerhard Blom speaking, and I just want to quickly give you my 2 cents or my commentary from a Christian standpoint on the attempted assassination attempt on former President of the United States, Donald Trump. So, first off, I've got to say that the 13th of July 2024 will be remembered in history as the day of the failed assassination or attempted assassination attempt on Donald Trump. In South Africa, the news reached most of us only on Sunday morning when most of us came back from church, like myself. And yes, when I saw the news on my news feed of my cell phone, there was one thought that immediately came to mind, and I want to discuss that thought with you today. And that was the thought that the separation between good and evil became more and more clear through this attempted assassination attempt on Donald Trump. And to be very clear, that's what this is about. We mustn't miss what this is really about. We have to realize it. It's all about the battle between good and evil, the battle between the light and the darkness, the battle between the children of God and the children of the evil one, of the devil, of Satan. Ephesians 6, verse 12 teaches us, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." We have to admit that evil or darkness has infiltrated the light, the good, the children of God for a very long time. Evil has infiltrated systematically, slowly, step by step, without us noticing it happening. And to be clear, that is exactly what the Bible talks about when the Lord Jesus Christ Himself talks about the wolves in sheep clothing. In Matthew 7, verses 14 to 17, Jesus says, "But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. Watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. By their fruit you will recognize them. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Likewise, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit." And even in the Old Testament, in Isaiah 5, verse 20, we read, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." See, everyone, the point that I want to get across is it's always been about this struggle between good and evil, light and darkness, the children of God and the children of Satan. So in America, in a sense, the trend is set. America is, in a sense, the forerunners in most areas of life. What America does, the rest of the world also wants to do. And what happens in America, in a sense, happens in the rest of the world too. They, like I said, are the trendsetters. America is the example that, for some reason, the rest of the world always wants to follow. And what this attempted assassination showed to me is how big the divide has become in not just America, but in the bigger picture in the world overall. In this case, in America, it was specifically the divide between two political parties, the Republicans and the Democrats. And this divide has become so bad and so big that a 20-year-old young man was willing to kill the former president and now presidential candidate. This young man was probably prepared to lose his life for it, and he did. And in this barrage, not only did he die, but also an innocent bystander was shot and killed, and more people were wounded and injured. See, here's the thing. Jesus says in John 15, verse 13, greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. But in this case, someone, this young man was willing to give his life not to save someone else, but to kill someone else. It's the Bible turned on its head, exactly the opposite of what Jesus taught. It's evil at work, it's counterculture and satanic counterfeiting working in front of our eyes. It's the opposite of God's commandments of love God and your neighbor. But the thing is, it's not the only divide between these two political parties. We have to see the bigger picture. There's a bigger picture of divide and separation overall in the world. And we have to see that it's the divide between conservative people on the one side and the liberal views on the other side. We have to see that it's a clear divide, dare I say, between normal thinking people on one side and on the other side, the woke agenda and their supporters. It's the clear separation between light and darkness. And the fact of the day in which we live and of the day in which we find ourselves is this: the infiltration of the savage wolves that infiltrated the light and the people of God and the church of God here on earth. This divide has now gone so far that it is now a clear divide for everyone to see. A clear divide between light and darkness. Only a clear divide because of God's grace. Because there is, if I can say it in biblical language or biblical terms, because there is through the grace of God a remnant left who walks in the light and do not devise or do the works of darkness and evil, but a remnant who sees the truth and who lives in the truth and who lives in the light and through the light. A remnant who sees the lie for what the lie is, something coming from the father of lies. The warning thus is upon all of us. In Matthew 24, verse 15 and 2 Timothy 3, we are warned that these kind of things will happen in the last days. And to sum it all up, it basically is a warning that in the last days things will not be easy. Christians will not have it easy in this world we live in. Regardless of all of this, I want to state that maybe we must wake up and realize that we are living in end times. And regardless if we are living in end times or not, I have a three-part question or three questions that I want to end this discussion off with. And I want everyone to answer each of these questions to themselves. First off, I want to ask, have you already chosen a side? Because the time to choose is now. It's either God and the light on the one side and the truth, or on the other side, the devil, the darkness, and the lie. But there isn't time to still be choosing. It's time to choose sides. The separation between good and evil has become so clear, and the ferocious wolves have exposed themselves through the fruit that they bear. But the question is, have you noticed this? And then in John 3, verse 19, John writes, this is the verdict. Light has come into the world, but people loved darkness instead of light because their deeds were evil. Second, Are you willing to stand up for the truth and what is right until God comes again? And are you willing to fight the good fight until the end? Especially because God has equipped you with His armor, with the gifts to fight the good fight. And the last question, the third question, are you ready to meet Jesus Christ? Because the day He returns could be any second. Let me end off with a verse of hope. Yes, it's true. We live in dark and uncertain times, but here's our hope. In John 1, verse 15, John writes, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." And this light that John talks about over here is, of course, Jesus Christ. And we must trust in Him, walk in Him, believe in Him until the end. Thank you very much.